Anything I've seen, I've liked, but I haven't seen that much.
The Pit and the Pendulum, all the Hammer movies.
Or the weird poem about eating people or something. What is it? Vaco was showing me something. I can't remember.
Hey, it's Strange Tangent time.
Well, yeah,
Strange tangents.
I mean, you're interested in what you're interested in, right?
Well,
Things come
it
up
is the Wussow's podcast, and
Mm-hmm.
we always forget to let people know what we're doing. That's part of the shtick, I
Yeah, that's by accident, but first of all, yes, and well, it's a nasty habit, is what I'll say it is. So, who are you?
think. I'm Jason.
And I'm Terry, and joining us today is the designer of Bentleyville, right?
Well, for the first 10 years.
For the first 10 years.
Designing lights, but I don't want to discredit the team of hundreds of volunteers that are doing it now, but
one of the
they're from the
people
beginning.
who helped from the beginning.
Yes.
Among other things, being a musician, I read from your Instagram, airbrush artist and graphic designer. Just an all-around good time, Barry Pirkola.
Barry Pirkola, yeah. And friend of the cafe because of designing the logo, the Wussow's logo.
Oh.
And our sign, the sign, the logo, Barry designed that, and the previous name, he also designed the
Was here from the beginning.
here from the beginning.
Much like Bentleyville, I was here from the
we,
beginning.
we used to telemarket together at Finger Hut, and Barry drove a El Camino with reservation plates and a topper,
Wow.
and I had an old 76 Jeep, and we'd show up at 8 a.m. and drink all the crappy coffee we could and try to
We did 2 telemarketing jobs. We went from Finger Hut
to Customer
and then
Link.
when that broke for the day, we would go over to Customer Link.
Ugh.
But, John Cale said, if you get into a tight corner, you'll figure a way out, maybe a creative way. And you did.
Yeah, yeah.
I was with you at the same time. I'm going to make a coffee shop, and it's going to be a concert cafe as well.
Yeah, and that's when we were on break, or 15-minute break time to the second, we'd brainstorm ideas. I'm like, Barry, will you make a mural? And so we brainstormed this mural idea.
Well, we even had original mascot, which was
Mr. Beaner.
Yeah, Mr. Beaner. And he
On
was
the
a
Beaner
ska
Bucks.
guy, yeah.
Yeah.
We draw pictures of him and stuff, Well,
I think we did.
everybody
some of that.
else was smoking cigarettes, but that was what we did.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone went into the, what would you call that? One little glass room with like 30 chain smoking.
The terrarium. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my
Yes, they're
gosh.
allowed to smoke in an enclosed space indoors, which you can't do anywhere anymore. But when you have one of the worst jobs in the world, I mean, you want to cut those people a slack burger,
Yeah, here's unlimited soda, and you can go in here and puff down some
There was
cigarettes.
many days I'd go in and huff the secondhand smoke just to get through another hour of taking dead calls.
I got so bored I started hanging up on purpose. What is it, F13 or whatever it was? It was a button. It was like if someone answered the phone, it's like, who the hell is this? I'd be like, hang up.
Yeah.
Or if I was
It's
really,
not worth it.
I read a 600-page book about how to open a coffee house while I was working, and I would be really into it. Sometimes I'd just start hanging up on people.
Well, dead calls and cold calls, yeah. At least with the one place, we were calling people that were expecting the call, but sometimes they weren't. But that was the miserable place that it all started from. Things turned out pretty good in the end.
Yeah, we escaped, and I felt bad for some of those people. I don't think they were going to be there till it was over.
Well, if everybody was there for a reason. Just got out of jail, got divorced.
Yep.
You had to have a job. But, about the time that Jason started his coffee shop and was working with his family to get the space and the remodeling and everything, I started a lifestyle change job, became a graphic designer. Well, started in the print shop, and I worked very close. So when things got started, I would do lunch hour sets of playing my guitar, and then
Yeah. At the very beginning, Barry worked at Advantage Emblem, which at that time
Morgan Park.
was Morgan Park.
Oh.
And he'd come every Friday for, I think, 7 years.
Yep.
On every Friday at lunch and get an espresso and a muffin and jump up and play like an hour for
Okay.
lunch break.
And then go back to
And then
work.
go back to work.
Yeah.
It was super cool.
So we stayed connected, and then he needed T-shirts. Well, my company I work for had, one of the highest volume screen printing operations in town. So And I eventually got into the art department, so I started designing the signage and the silk screening and various other things.
Actually, you made our first shirt too.
I did.
The speeding ticket, but I only had a double mocha.
A guy on a scooter.
Oh, you made that one. That was when my scooter got stolen.
Yeah,
you made that
scooter
shirt.
got stolen.
Oh.
That was a bad day.
Find your own scooter ride.
That old adventure.
I forgot all about
It's
those
from the classic
t-shirts and
series.
stuff. Well, I guess that's why we wanted to talk about stuff, because he has some history.
Yeah,
A lot of stories.
I know, it's crazy. The studio that's here that we're in right now, the very first recording was the Hoot Owls.
Right.
And before we put the studio in the basement,
Right.
Dan Dresser bought, and we talked about this in the Dan Dresser one, he bought the computer we're still using, if you can
Right.
believe it, from
It's crawling along.
the cheese grater,
Yeah.
the G2.
Yeah,
or-
because besides having the solo show, I was always trying to get some kind of a three-piece rock band to get a little traction around town. And after a while, we had the Hoot Owl Band, and which was featured, luckily, at Jason's place. It gave us a venue, and eventually we recorded there. But Jason, we didn't know what we were doing. They got the software, recording equipment, and
no, we didn't know.
didn't know what we were doing. But we got lucky because Dan Dresser finally just did an overnight mix on it, and it actually turned out pretty good. It still sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alien Scrapyard was the name of the CD.
It's a great album, actually. It's
Yeah.
really good. Is it out anywhere? Can you?
I still have a lot of copies of it because
It's not online. You can't stream it. or
I
anything?
think CD Baby put it up on YouTube. So if you put in Alien Scrapyard, on
Oh, yeah.
YouTube, you'll find
It's
it.
pretty good. Actually, check that out. Check out the Hoot Owls Alien Scrapyard.
When they came down on our small town, a glowing pit dug in the ground.
So that was the beginning of the recording studio. That happened.
That was the first thing that ever was recorded. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's this. I mean, like this very room, right? It's like,
No, it was in the conference room upstairs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
didn't
then
realize
then
that.
we did when the Fractals, the next band,
Oh yeah.
was getting traction. We did Death by Fender down
Death by
here,
Fender in this little
Oh,
studio.
okay.
Yep.
Right.
And that's a really good album.
you know, and we're just recording ourselves for our own enjoyment and for just to have something to offer people at the show, kind of a vanity press thing where you pay to publish your own book. So with the Alien Scrapyard, I ordered 1,500 CDs thinking I was going to sell a gazillion of them. Well, they're still holding up my bed. We only bought 500 of the second CD, the Fractals Death by Fender. Well, those sold the first week, and so there are no copies of that left.
Oh,
Isn't that
So,
funny?
Yeah.
I still probably have
You
500.
dream really big, and you
You
think you think you're in a giant pond, and it's just a fishbowl, and there's a couple other fish in it.
Yeah. Yes.
But big dreams, see, Jason had that. Your big dream of doing this certainly got me out of the doldrums of that where we started.
Oh, I'm happy to get out. Happy to get out of there. Back when we were telling marketing, Barry was also, his side gig was airbrushing and fixing and doing like classic cars because his dad was super classic car
Oh.
guy, and he would like redo the Firebird on a repaint the Firebird on a
On the hood of a Trans Am, and
all this custom stuff.
oh yeah, and I did murals on garage doors. That was the thing I got into for a while, And
Yeah.
mostly it was people that own classic cars, so I would do portraits for their classic cars on their garage doors because I could do cars really good,
We
So
should talk. I don't know how to do cars at all.
cars is a lot like drafting. You have to think about perspective and all that stuff,
Yeah.
But the cool thing was that led into the greatest painting gig of all, which was Jason put an 8x8 foot mural for his stage here at the Concert Cafe at Wussow's. And I got to do that over the course of a year. And that was so as the coffee shop was building,
And we were dreaming it up and like picking all the
the musical artists that
it's
would
like
be on there.
gotta have Louis Armstrong, gotta have
Gotta have
Jimi Hendrix.
Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Gotta have Frank Sinatra. Gotta have all the. So that was.
And then I like that the smoke coming out of the pipe turns into the flames into Jimi Hendrix.
Oh yeah, that was 1999,
Yep.
and that was I remember, I did it in sections of particle board in my bedroom, and then I brought them down and connected together, and then painted the pieces together. And the night I finished was when George W. Bush, the election results came in for him winning the presidency over, just can't remember his name now.
Al Gore.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That was such a big deal, but I just kind of remember that. That's I don't have bad memories of the election. I have a relief of remembering I'm done with this dang mural.
That's funny. Well, politics back then seemed so, crazy, but now they're really
They're
crazy.
even
So
more polarized,
it's
yeah.
like, that seems so tame.
It does now.
You should do another mural just to make yourself feel calm again.
I know.
At
And
least at the end of it.
And what did W end up doing in his retirement? He became a pretty dang good painter.
He did?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
paints wonderful paintings. Yeah.
Huh.
It's odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, God, after being president, I'm sure I'd want to just hide and chill out and
It's a job nobody wants. I
go.
don't think he wanted it. I wouldn't want it.
No way.
No.
You could not get me to do it.
No way.
No.
The guy that everybody hates no matter what.
No
right?
way.
Yeah.
Terry for president?
Oh, see, there we go. Now that's an idea we can get behind. I've got so many good ideas. I have a document somewhere deep in the Google Drive that has all sorts of dumb ideas. And
Well, like combining the states, or
no, it's like
take the bad states and make just kind of like one big better state, or
they're really more like personal grievances.
so if I was king, sort of a
basic.
thing. Yeah.
Ba-
I hear you.
Basically.
We need, a dictator might straighten some of this stuff out,
That's-
right?
Sometimes we need a firm guiding hand.
That's right. Someone to make yes/no decisions without pandering to everyone to make them happy,
Exactly.
right?
You just say,
This is
listen,
how it's gonna
you'll
be."
like it better when I'm done. That's what I
Right.
think.
All toilet seats will be up.
Oh,
That's right.
it seems
Right across the board.
Just take off the top seat. We don't need it.
That's
Well, I'll be much more flexible when we're used to squatting. Which one are we trying?
This is Ritaska,
Ooh,
which is Clock Hall Brewing Company, Grand Rapids, Minnesota. It's a amber rye ale.
this is the unofficial sponsor.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are not actually sponsoring. It is worth noting.
Well, we'll give them a good plug because the double IPA that we had,
Is it good?
which is the Lion's Courage, is about 8%. It was probably one of the best double IPAs I've ever
Well, hey,
had.
there you go. That's a ringing endorsement.
The only reason we're having libations is I insisted. I just got off work, so
Yeah,
all I can see are stoplights and taillights.
I wonder if it would be funny to listen to this early in the day, because I feel like the show generally has like a nighttime hanging out after work, drinking with your buddies kind of vibe to it.
Oh, good. I thought I was really going to be
No, you're fitting right in.
pinned down and ask some hard questions.
No.
I
Well,
told Barry,
sometimes,
like,
if I
we
can
could
think of them.
we were gonna maybe do this at 11 in the morning, and Barry's like, "Oh, that doesn't really sound fun." And I'm like, "Oh, how about 8 o'clock at night? Oh, that sounds better."
Way better. Way better. I give Ritaska, the beer, 4 skulls out of 5.
4
Excellent.
skulls?
Skulls. That's my rating system. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Pretty malty.
It is malty. It's very filling. I don't think I could finish a whole can of that, but it's delicious.
It's nice. It's a good. Hey, it's spot on for the time.
It is.
This is a seasonal. This is the season for this beer. This is not what I was expecting. So many rye beers are so. We're getting way off course here.
It's
We're
I
fine.
becoming
know.
a
I
beer
could really
taster.
talk about
Well,
beer a long time.
You
and
do
that's-
like beer.
I do.
So there we go. It's relevant then, and it's
A
local.
musician liking beer? Weird.
I know. Someone like him.
Sometimes a guy's got to loosen up to play, though.
There you go.
Finger ease doesn't always cut it.
I know. I've watched guys for 25 years that would just be sliding off the stage and get the guitar on them and plug in, and bam, they're in command of the universe.
I've seen some friends. I don't know how they could play. Literally, like, you just had 15 beers, and now you are killing it. How is this possible?
Yeah. I always thought those guys were just because they were a couple years older than me had learned something I hadn't learned. But
They're
I don't
just
know.
built differently. That's what I think.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
everybody's brains differently. Like
Yeah.
some people just can't do any cannabis.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I'm one of those people. That turns me into a paranoid idiot, and I run off into the woods. You know?
There's a lot of people that way.
Some people, they focus and they become a scientist.
Yeah.
I'm not just driving; I'm studying driving. That's all.
Yeah. I've always accepted I'm a cartoonist, and that's about the long and short of it.
Yeah.
Whatever that means to whoever hears that, that's what I am. So if they think I'm some idiot who draws doodles and silly people, that's Or if I don't know, if they think it's more sophisticated than that for some reason, sure, I'll take it.
When are you gonna get a real job? How many times
Real
have you
job,
heard that? How many
dude.
times have you heard
Terry,
that?
don't get a real job. Real jobs suck.
I
The
do.
reason you have a real job is, if you're attached at the hip and so forth, you have to be responsible. Or if you've bought something you can't afford.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Don't get the giant Tahoe or the Escalade, because then you'll have to get a real job
Yeah.
to keep it.
My job doesn't feel like a real job. I work with the historical society, and sometimes it's just like looking at old stuff. It's a little more than that.
That's a wonderful thing to
But
do.
it
I
is.
love
It's a
that.
good job. I like it. I really-
Barry's way into collectibles, in my opinion, and history in general. I feel like
I am. My thing is, I have a giant collection of 78 RPM records,
And
which
old
were
records.
the original standard format before. LPs are real popular now, but they used to come in a 10-inch format, 78 RPM, one song per side, and there were two pieces of lacquer pressed between a piece of paper. So I have this mountain of these things I've collected over the years, and they're all from late 30s to early 50s.
Wow.
And you, of course, have to have the right phonograph to play them on. So over the years, I've been collecting wooden phonographs with turntables in them and refurbishing them so they make these scratchy records sound good.
Barry had so many unfortunate fire. I remember that.
Fire number 2.
God, he had a little apartment that was like. I mean, you probably had 10 vintage
Record players,
in
lots
this
of
little
records.
apartment, and
The funny thing was the only thing that survived were the 78 RPM records, because even if the fire got up to 500 degrees, the paper burned off, but they didn't melt, whereas the vinyl, all puddled and scorched. So, a third of my collection has some smoke damage on there. You just get out the rubbing alcohol, boop, 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 boop.
it really works still.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's kind of impressive.
Not perfect, some of them, but yeah. The thing was, when I was collecting them back in the 90s, there were a lot of good 78 records, even in this area. But since the antique market and eBay, they're all gone. So I have a big stash of things I haven't even listened to, and I've just been pulling them out little bits by bits. And
That's why
finding-
you hide out in the woods now.
I do.
You do.
I am completely entertained.
That sounds lovely.
No, it does sound lovely.
Well, Duluth is a great town.
Well,
Duluth has
so is
grown.
Solon Springs.
It's grown so much, even since when you first started the cafe here. It's really big. But it was time to get away from that, and have a little solace.
Yeah.
Sprawl is what it is, and
Well, you're on stage. You're the extrovert, but
you're right. I'm not that way.
you have a very gracious side, but there's a breaking point that I luckily avoid. But
That was maybe
I've
earlier on. I'm better now, but I still, when I get on the guitar, I put it on, like even here, and I come out of on the stage like a boxer coming out of the corner, not to make battle with other guitar players, but to get people to react. And it doesn't matter what type of music I'm playing. I want people to dance or tap their feet or react to it, because there's nothing worse than being the background noise to, people at a beer pub that are bringing strollers in to meet so the grandparents can meet the babies and stuff, because there's a lot of venues I was playing towards the end there before I kind of retired, where it was like, wow, I'm playing for family dining now,
I don't want to
so
play
my
for
music
family
would
dining.
fall on a flat ear. But here, I put on the guitar, I'm ready to play.
Yeah.
And I haven't been here since April,
Well,
my last show.
You always could come out of hibernation, just if you do.
25 years of trying to gig up in Duluth. That's tough.
But now, so as an artist, though, are you ever gonna actually properly retire? Like, are you actually like done, or could something like a random pop-up show here still happen?
It could still happen. But what's kind of happened is, just like we were talking about, you get in an uncomfortable corner with like the telemarketing. I had to take a real job here, so I can have insurance and those sort of things. So I had to put it away for a little while. And I live far away from Duluth, an hour away, so the time compromise kind of gets in the way. So something had to give. So it's still waiting. I still have all my art supplies and I still have all my music supplies. But what's changed now is when you had the computer and you got the DAW and you got the Pro Tools and everything, and that's very opaque and really hard for someone who's not technical to get into. If you're reading the manual, You can't just find your way through that. Well, things have changed a little bit. I bought an 8-track recorder that has a lot of that software already in it and the drum loops and everything. So we're trying to record yourself with a laptop and Pro Tools. It's pretty hard unless you're a computer geek. Now they've kind of simplified it a little bit. They've taken the old cassette recorder 8-track, made that digital, and put a lot of the software in there in simpler blocks.
You're making me think of Jeff James O'Loughlin right now.
Yeah. So it's different. I'm not gonna. I like to perform and play guitar, but since it's not really possible now, at least I can record. Now recording for anybody that wants to do it, it's getting easier. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have to be such a technical buff to do it or go to someone else to have them do it for you. So I just bought a recording machine out of the blue and found out that a lot of the headaches people were having, in the last 5-10 years, they're starting to smooth some of that out. It's moving away from the laptop and the hard drive into portable units, I guess. And so good timing.
There's so many things out there.
Oh, the technology. That's where I work. The younger guys in the late teens and early 20s are like, everything's really, really that much better in the good old days. And I said, well, no. I said, for one thing, you guys have technology now, and you take it for granted. We had no technology.
No technology.
So to us, it's just all just amazing. And even when I don't pay attention to it for a couple months, it's even more amazing than it was the last time I took a look at what people were doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just like what a phone can do. It's like a phone can take a picture and then you can make things disappear out of that picture.
With nowadays, literally the click of a button.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, compared to black and white photography where you have this film and you shoot it and then you go to the dark room and hopefully you don't expose it and wreck the film, and then
you have physical grains of silver or whatever.
Yeah, and then which it's fun, and toxic chemicals and and dip and stop and go, and then you project all these steps, and then at the end it's it's cool, it's super fun. I love doing black and white photography. It was really fun. But what's crazy is the newest iPhone takes unbelievable photos, like
I know.
Unbelievable
And
definition.
People take digital photos and now they will have them physically printed on gelatin paper or on canvas so that they resemble the analog.
Yeah. Well, that's like digital recording too. You record it so pristine, and then you muddy it up by rolling it onto tape, and you hit it into.
You need analog equipment to round the corners and to mush all the square waves and make it more palatable to the ear.
Yeah.
Just like photography needs to be more softer to the eye.
Yeah, because I can't stand high definition TVs when I see them. I know that's what everyone loves, but like if you stop in a bar and they have a high definition TV, it's like
where I live, minimum of 7 TVs in any bar. I miss the old cocktail lounges. Ugh. Can you imagine going someplace where there's no TVs? It's just dark wood, giant mirrors, and then rows of like high-end booze as far as I can see.
Well, that sounds a lot nicer.
Across the street, actually.
Oh,
the Jade Fountain.
Yeah, that's
really?
That's actually.
Hey, there's a good plug. Something I didn't know about.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Yeah, that's a great place.
No TVs, dark, tons of great high-end booze.
Yeah, highly recommend going there. Actually, yeah.
The giant TVs.
Oh,
it's fine.
You just endorsed.
I don't mind it actually. that was a point I meant to make earlier. Is I'm happy to support other local businesses. In the last episode, when I was plugging my grandma's book. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I ever mentioned that on the podcast that Linda was my grandma, but
no, you
whatever.
didn't.
Plugging her book, I mentioned you could get it next door at Zenith. So there you go.
It is December, and I guess I'm not positive about the Bentleyville thing. Maybe I miss. Do you not design? You design like the lights, right?
Well, yeah. Only disclaimer.
Explain that part of what you do, though.
Oh, well, what I did, and maybe a little less up till now, was all the lighting displays you see, which down at Bentleyville are wonderful characters made out of steel rebar, welded together with lights taped around them and everything. That all kind of has to be laid out graphically on a computer and then scaled up to size. And so I kind of do the technical work of, they give me an idea or an image they want, and how can you make this into a 2D flat thing so that can be physically built. And also, how big do you want it to be?
A 2D flat thing?
Yeah, because the lights are, if you think of a metal fence, they're basically a metal fence with lights
Oh,
strapped
they're
on.
not really 3D. They're
Some
all
of them
flat.
are tunnels and some of them are spheres, but very few. Most of them are just a 2D flat thing, sort of like a cookie cutter
Oh,
with
okay.
lights strapped to them.
Oh, okay.
And not only do I have to make them flat, but look like they have depth on the little computer, we have to think about how do you reduce it to the minimum number of lines and all this BS. But I don't have anything to do with the creative ideas of it. That's Nathan Bentley and his committee of people, the volunteers that run.
They
the
tell
Bentley.
you what
they want.
We want these people, these characters this
Hey,
year.
or we want local landmarks like, Inger Tower or the lift bridge. And, then it's up to me. Okay, can I add flashing to this? Like with the lift bridge, make the,
You draw it all out.
yeah.
So-
And I do it with vectors on the computer. So it's point to point, line to line, and, perfectly even both sides. And then I have to,
Vector, because then you can scale it.
right.
Yeah.
And then you also have to figure out, okay, how big do they want it? Well, typically things are 26 to 40 feet long, maybe some things 80 feet long. So then how tall is that going to be? And you can't really exceed a certain height before things start to wobble over. But anyways, that's
do you need
what,
a hurricane test on any of these?
Wait, hurricanes do blow through Bayfront, and I can tell you this because when I played Elvis down there, excuse me,
You'll have to explain that.
Elvis was a sort of, if Elvis was an elf who came down from the North Pole who played Christmas songs, and that was me dressed in a jumpsuit with a big hollow body ES-295 guitar out in the cold
At
with
the original Bentleyville
an Esco,
and
and then when it moved up to the Munger area, and now it's at Bayfront, and we would perform outside in the cold. Now, if you've been to Bentleyville, they have fire pits to keep you warm. Well, sometimes when that hurricane wind would come through the bay, we'd be playing, the wind would hit those fire pits, and it would just be sparks and smoke, and I'm playing in the middle of this. My fingers are freezing, my feet are freezing, my clothes are soaking wet, it's cold, and I'm getting hit with flaming hot shards of birch.
But that probably looked super cool.
It did, and kids loved it.
Yeah. So it's all worth it.
It was
They
for
say
a while.
beauty is pain, and
Did
so
you,
is
did,
art.
were you, did you play at the very, very first Bentleyville?
I did. Bentleyville originally was just like, Nathan Bentley is like the greatest Clark Griswold character there ever was. He loves Christmas, and this was his baby. He turned his little love for Christmas lights and Christmas in his yard into the best and biggest nonprofit there's ever been in town, and it put Duluth on the map, nationwide for it. But originally it was just at his house, and he was running off, 220 volt box off his house. And of course, eventually that all grew year after year. People came and people came and people came. And
And you can learn all about this at the depot right now. There's an exhibit all about it.
20-year
And,
anniversary.
yeah, and there's some information in there. Like there's one document that's features some letters from people who had lived there, and they were really annoyed about how all the street was full of other people's cars, and if like an ambulance needed to get through, they wouldn't be able to because everyone.
That's
was...
because the second Bentleyville was in Munger, and it was on a dirt cul-de-sac. So, the road went down and there was a loop at the end. Well, attendance had become so large, it was like Woodstock. Cars backed up as far as I could see. No one could get in or out. But, he found solutions to that, and that was to make people park in a lot and bus them in. He's really good at brainstorming these things. He's never gave up. He loves that thing. That's his baby. So I can only speak so much about what I did there,
But that's a cool. It's just such a cool part, and it's cool because I've always loved all your art. So
When you see characters down there and designs down there, the stuff I drew up on the computer, was things they wanted me to do in their ideas. But like the dinosaur land, I had to kind of figure out, how do you make a pterosaur flash in 2D little segments, sort of like a cartoon, and make it look like it's flying and things like that. The only problem is I can't go down there anymore because after so many years of playing as Elvis, I got really sensitive to the cold.
Oh,
Yeah, I immediately get like arthritic, and I know Nathan would love me to come back as Elvis for the 20th anniversary. I can't do it.
Oh.
Plus, I'm too fat to fit in a jumpsuit. So.
that's funny because I just watched the Elvis movie last night.
oh
Yeah.
Fat
Yeah.
Elvis.
Well, they didn't really show Fat Elvis too much.
Oh.
Just like the very sad end of. Did you
Yeah.
see it?
Did you see the biopic that's out? You mean that just came out?
It's like the newest Elvis.
Yeah,
movie.
that new Elvis biopic. Yeah, it was really excellent.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and as a music fan and
As a music
an
fan,
Elvis fan,
yeah,
it was excellent. I squirted out a few at the end.
Yeah,
I couldn't
me too.
help it.
Yep.
It was very sincere.
Yep.
But
Dripping
that's
in
the
my
music
popcorn.
business, a dark, tarry hallway. And
It's always that way, isn't it?
terrible. Well,
Either you're like, why can't I make it, or it's like, why have I made it? It's like there's never.
I think that gets misunderstood. I think if you had as much money and as much fame as you possibly could have, and no one to say no to you, like Elvis would, you would have a great time. And then you might get tired of some things and get bored. You know,
I just think it's dangerous. It would be dangerous for me to be.
It was dangerous for some people around Elvis. Too,
I think it would
Yeah.
be dangerous for me to be in an Elvis situation for sure.
well, now everyone has personal assistants if they're famous, and they, keep doors on keeping bad people in and out and keep track of your money. But back then, being a rock star with Jimi Hendrix, it's a dangerous lifestyle
yeah,
unless you have someone helping you, looking out for
I
you.
think in general it's a dangerous lifestyle just because I was so entranced by it for so long and still sort of am. But you get your tour blinds on. It's like everything.
What world are you coming from? I've always just been a stinking bar musician. That's all I ever wanted to be. Drunk people dancing, having a good time. I never worried about any of that.
No,
I
just-
worried about that bottle coming through
Oh,
the
yeah.
chicken wire
Yeah,
at me. That was my
or
experience.
falling onto the stage and the mic stand busting through your guitar.
Hey, that happened at Bentleyville.
It happened. This happened to me for sure. Bust your tooth. Someone falls on the mic stand.
Hey, back to
breaks your tooth
back
off.
to Bentleyville. The second Bentleyville at his house up in Munger there, we set up Elvis, and we had him in the garage, right? And we were going to make a big presentation. So we put in a bunch of those fog machines. We filled the garage with smoke. And all of a sudden, we put a drum roll on the PA and the door opened, right? And the smoke comes out, and I come out as Elvis, and the band's rocking away, and we're have a Holly Jolly Christmas or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Well, the temperature, it had done this famous thing where this Arctic air mass had come through, and it had gone from 15 above to like 9 below. So we go out there, right?
Polar vortex.
The paraffin smoke from these smoke machines turned to snow. It all fell to the ground. All the equipment froze solid. I'm singing the second song. I bumped the microphone. The microphone stand hits the ground. It shattered. All the metal rods on the microphone stand
Oh
turned
my
to pieces,
goodness.
the hinges, everything. And my dad was there. And he's like, "It's too cold, son. Maybe you should call off the show." I'm like, "No, it's Bentleyville. Gotta do it.
The most important night of the year. Yeah.
By the way, those smoke machines are really bad for you.
Oh, I hate
paraffin-based
smoke. I
ones.
hate smoke.
Yeah,
machines.
the third time that we did that, and we opened the garage door and the smoke came out, we couldn't breathe because we didn't realize it's candle wax, We coated our lungs.
Oops.
Oh no.
Anyways, that was just
There'll be a
another
class action
Bentley.
lawsuit.
Just one of
someday.
the Bentleyville stories. We still had fun.
Do you have photos of that?
Oh yeah, they were turned into Christmas cards. So
Oh, do you have one handy? Do you think?
Yeah, I can give it to you. Yeah.
Okay, if you think of it send it to me and we'll
Yeah.
put that in when we release this podcast on the possibly on
This one will come out on the first
on the
Tuesday of the
first
month,
Tuesday of the month.
like it's supposed to.
yeah.
The point would be though that Bentleyville now is the best that it could ever be because of technology. Getting back to that.
This is so funny.
I was originally the sound engineer too, and he wanted to have music in every part of Bentleyville, in the trees, the walkways, the paths, and this was before Bluetooth. So
when you would wire all the speakers,
I had like 35 to 50 speakers,
and everyone would steal.
and I
them.
had to wire them to one sound source.
Oh, no.
And anybody that's an engineer will know you're trying to get the resistance so it doesn't drop below 4 ohms, So I had to get a hold of a friend of mine who was an engineer. He's like, "Oh, it's series and parallel, so you do this little map out for me." So I'd mount all the speakers and then have to connect miles and miles of 2-piece wire, speaker wire, and hope at the end when I connected it, whoa, there would be sound. And of course there never was.
Oh no.
I would have to noodle it through because what I found out, it was bunny rabbits have to chew to wear down their teeth. So the whole time I'm hooking this up, the rabbits are right behind me chewing the wire. So I'm constantly chasing them away. And it wasn't so bad in Munger, but when it moved to Bentleyville, like I said, this is before
The
Bluetooth.
Park Point bunnies.
The Park Point bunnies were out, and so I get a call. Barry, they're not working again. Come on down. And the worst was the opening. The grand opening, the first grand opening at Bayfront. He was ready to, like Clark Griswold, plug in the wires and everything light up, and the music was going to go off, and of course, there was nothing.
Oh no!
So there I'm running around the flashlight. Oh yeah, rabbit chewed this, rabbit chewed that, and finally get it going together, and
This is too much.
Now, of course, now you won't have any disappointment because I think most of the speakers are in that giant Christmas tree, and it's all Bluetooth, so they don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
His ideas were just ahead of the technology, then the technology caught up. And
Oh no,
God bless him.
that's just the way you used to do it. I mean, it's like everything was heavy and hand.
You know what that much
and...
speaker wire makes with speaker wires or speakers, which are magnets, antennas. So even when the music was off, I was picking up AM through those things. So I'd have hate talk coming through them.
Hate talk.
It's Pete and Les, Why is football so offensive now? All that dancing. Nathan's like, can you turn that off? I'm like, I can't.
No, actually, no.
It's got a flamethrower on the hill. The antenna's blasting signals coming over your speaker wires. But like I said, now it's all Bluetooth. So
Was there no way to cover the wire enough to keep rabbits out?
the thing was, we tried to string it up into the trees above the ground, and that did work. But it had to go back to a central unit, which at first was a CD player, and then was an MP3 player after that.
Wow.
They really started with a CD player.
Yeah, I had a like a 24 disc CD player.
And then what was the amp? Some massive amp, or like not a home stereo, obviously.
I don't really remember, but it started out with, a home stereo thing, and then it went to a powered rack unit, so you had unlimited power, but you're still getting this tricky situation unless you're really good at math. You're getting resistance different here and there. Anyways,
it all has
I was not the man for the job, but I tried.
I would not be either.
He could motivate anybody. He asked me to do it, and I said I'd do it. Unfortunately, now that I'm old and crabby, I can say no to anybody. So. I'm not doing that. But
what is the thing you think you're proudest of that you designed for them?
That's a fun question.
I really think it's the ore boat coming through the lift bridge, because he let me do it realistically, so I looked at a lot of photos, and being from Duluth all my life, it was like, cool, I get to recreate this, and I got to make things my colors, so the pier is green as it should be, old stone, and the ore ship coming through is a dark red, as a lot of the ore boats are, and I got that to make it look like how I imagined it would look, and it turned out pretty cool, and that was like the biggest part of the display originally, so that was a cool thing.
I know which one you're talking about because I've been, and that is a really good one. So,
but like I said, I just want to say I did not build it, and I did not set it up.
Well,
that's all the volunteers.
You designed it though, and I think that's really saying something.
Hey, those people, it's hard working out there in the cold.
For sure.
I work outside now, and they volunteer for it, and so man, they love Christmas. I think they love Bentleyville and they love Nathan, so they're happy to do it. And that's where he's the person. He's the alchemist, the guy that makes it happen. He can really he's a good leader. So. And I am not.
You are too. You're a good band leader.
Well, I guess those guys followed me for many years, for 25 years.
Oh, you're Super D and the Double Chugs, the Voodoo Bears.
The Voodoo Bears. Oh, yeah, the Voodoo Bears, yeah. Yep, lots of fun.
I still have my Tomcats shirt.
The Tomcats. Yep, the
I'm
Tomcats.
recording Tommy Retrubo right now.
So speaking of Tommy, that was the one thing I was thinking of. When I told back in April, I was I'm not going to go gig anymore. Tom Retruba says, yeah, you hung in there the longest. He says, but isn't it true that trying to do a band and get gigs and be in bars and be in clubs, that's like the hardest way to do it, to try to express yourself through music, And so, he went to just playing solo with his acoustic, and actually his music is he's a lot better.
He's great. He's got a great voice.
Well, because he just does Tommy, he's just his natural voice.
He's just a great guitar. But also, though, to hear him play lead guitar in a band, I mean,
But he
That's
did
cool,
that
too.
like I did for a long time. But he realized before I did it, it's a hard road to hold because in Duluth we were still only making what I did 25 years ago, which is $100 a night, and it's just not there anymore. As they said in biblical terms, my seed could find no purchase.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all trying to do music that people aren't maybe not so interested in. I guess that would be my point.
Oh, well,
Surf and garage,
surfing garage.
That's what we surf music and garage music was kind of what I
Oh,
did.
okay. The
Not
surfing
so
garage.
much interest up here. Down in the cities a little bit more, but
There is interest, but
it wouldn't matter the music I play. It's just I was gonna attack it aggressively either way, and you're gonna watch me.
I love surf. Speaking of surf music, my favorite wedding of all time, Barry's wedding, was in a greenhouse
On Halloween,
on Halloween after,
Thursday.
oh,
and it was a Halloween costume party with surf bands.
there you go.
And Big Surf
The
played.
big surf from down in the cities, Phil Belknap, who is like the Ted Nugent of surf guitar.
And Barry's band played too. The Fractals played too. And
Everyone in Halloween costumes, and Phil dressed as a mad scientist with a noodle colander on his head with coils out of it.
me and Tina
That's a great
came.
look.
She was. We were a fork and knife, and I made a giant fork with a big piece of meat stuck on the fork. We were like 9 feet tall. Our costumes were.
You guys are great.
It was so fun. I never do Halloween, but if I do, it has to be all out, or otherwise I don't want to do it.
Giant greenhouse. They cleared everything out, all the shelving, and it was just open. I had the bands. I had my mini bikes. You could ride the mini bikes through there.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: you want to discourage your family from showing up. Have it on a weeknight. And it was the worst weather ever. It was like
Snowstorm.
it was like 35 degrees, kind of like between snow and rain, and like steady 35-mile-an-hour gate. You couldn't see nothing, but people came.
It was a blast.
Yeah, the Fractals played, and the band was Big Surf.
Big Surf.
And
I
Big
still have the
Surf-
shirt. I bought a shirt.
Big Surf.
I bought a
Studio.
shirt at a wedding.
Yeah, I was just saying, wait, what?
Yeah.
Wow, great.
They were great.
They were great, and
They
I was
were
so
great.
flattered they wanted to stay at my house, and I said, "That's great. You guys will stay at my house, And what I didn't realize, even though they were a big surf band in the cities and well respected, they were just like us. They weren't getting paid anything. At their gigs, they were getting no money or $50 a piece, and they were a fantastic band.
That's
And-
every great band is
I
until
know.
you get you have to really hit a super next level to ever.
Have representation.
Yeah,
and hey, here's my contract. This is when I'm gonna get paid. It's just word of mouth. But the cool thing was having the band stay at my house, And then
On your honeymoon night.
yeah, and Phil Belknap, I love that guitar player. He's just so awesome.
And you
You
guys
look
are
him up
still
on
married,
Facebook.
though. That's what's
Right.
well,
He woke up in my house, and the thing he wakes up to is he's in our bed, and my dog is on his chest licking his face. He's not a dog person, Oh, it was really fun. It was really fun. But yeah, bad weather. That was a kind of a way to circumvent my dysfunctional family. Was if I had it on a
Hey,
weeknight in bad weather, none of them showed up. Just my friends.
Yeah, it sounds like you really did it right. I
you
mean,
did do it.
10
right.
years. So
It's the
Oh, hey.
best wedding I've ever been to,
oh, thanks,
hands
Jason.
down. We'll wrap this up with the reason Barry's not playing music or doing art is he is FedExing it.
I'm a courier for FedEx Express.
He's got the outfit, and they're working him to death.
Yeah.
Oh, it's what it is. It's about a lifestyle change, because for the last 20 years I sat at a computer and worked and designed, and the technology's getting ahead of me, but I was starting to get out of shape and everything, and also getting antisocial.
You do work with some really cool
And
people.
it was really the pandemic that forced that along. Was that so then that made the graphic design work dry up, so I didn't have any income. So I took this job, and of course now I took it when it was everybody started ordering online. So the volume of business, not only was it a totally different job, but it's just super, super busy. But it's been good because I really like the people I work with. That's the number one thing. But you have this little social contract with people where you talk to them and they're happy to see you every day, and you see the same people every day. You get little relationships with people. It's a lot healthier than sitting at the computer and grinding away and then being mad at the people that want you to do changes to things that you don't think are important. There's too much work up there to scuttlebutt or make enemies or anything. I met a whole bunch of different people, and it's good. It's hard. It's hard work, tired, but I like the people I work with. Hi, Kyle.
Huh.
Yeah, he's a musician too up
Oh,
there. So
There's some, and then the rapper
Jay's. He went to ground. FedEx
went to ground? I
Yeah,
don't
but
know
I
what
still
that
see
means.
him. Well, Express is overnight, and ground it'll get there anytime.
Oh,
and
so you're saying rappers are slow?
I'm
just kidding.
that was another thing that happened because of working at FedEx. Was Jay's was a rapper, which is something I don't know anything about. And I said, well, if you're into music, you can open up for my band, the Surf Garage Band, and they did, and it turned into one of the most interesting shows that we had.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah,
That's funny.
a totally different crowd came, and some people stayed, some people left. Same thing with my fans. It was a healthy thing.
You have that one song. What's the song? The line. What is it? Pumping the subs or what? What is it?
Flipping the Bird.
Yeah.
And Flipping the Bird is about how when Linkin Park and those bands were getting hot, how much they hated my band when we played those venues. And I used to say, they were hipping and hopping and pumping the subs, and they were flipping us the bird. Well, suddenly we were in that situation, and they were, with Jay's and his friends, they were okay with it. It was like
That's well fun. Oh, good. Have you two ever performed together?
a few times.
Yeah.
I think
Like
I've
in the same band or sit in?
Well,
I think just been a sit-in thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Jason's into a different bag,
Oh,
but not so much.
not so much.
It's just because he's busy. You're always busy doing your thing, and I was busy doing my thing.
That's really
It was a time thing.
totally.
Oh, yeah.
It's just it totally was just a time thing. Yeah.
I play bass for anybody. I started as a bass player.
Barry started as a bass player.
I
That's
can
right.
just fit in with anybody like an old
you
shoe.
have yeah. I remember the time you sat in with the Jour de Jour here.
Yeah,
That-
and I just saw Joe, the drummer,
Joel. Yep.
who's
I love him.
who's still active out there. I
Yep.
just saw him at the Pig in there.
Yep.
Yeah, he was drumming and great singer.
He's such a great singer.
And he let me fill in for their bass player, and you wouldn't have thought that I was filling in. That guy's so good.
yeah.
Who was originally the drummer for Molly and the Haymakers?
yeah. Yep.
And to end this, because we play, even though I've retired, I still do one gig a year, and that's this free music festival on private property, Baystock.
Baystock, you did it this year?
Big giant camp out, great bands.
Yeah, a lot of people
And
go
the
there.
Double Chucks reunite for that every year. And we play just one
Baby
set.
Eyes did it this year, and they were Heidi, the singer of Baby Eyes, was in one of the earliest podcasts.
Yeah, she was on the first
The
one.
first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were at Baystock
To get
this
people
year.
up to speed, it's like an old time camp out rock festival with bands for 3 days. It's on private property, so unless you've been to the party before, you can't come. Sorry, but the music is great. They have a full sound stage in the middle of the woods with generators out there running.
Which broke this year, apparently.
Yeah, well, just a few
Were you
times.
there? You
I
were-
was there.
and you played.
I was there, and we played in the afternoon. And there's bands around, and you can camp out there. This is like a hippie dream. This thing, Anyways, so this
That's
year,
what I've heard too. Yeah.
this year we played, and we got the
The
nice
Fractals
slot.
played?
Double Chucks.
Double
so me,
Chucks.
Darren Wallace, and Chuck Chunton,
Yep.
who I've been playing with for
Yep.
the whole time. Anyways, we're playing, and in the middle of the second song, this sort of wishy-washy girl in a tight black dress gets up there, and she's shaking a tambourine. She's like, "Can I come up and sing?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on, whatever. This is not Van Halen. Jump on in." So I started thinking, well, what are some songs we can do as a duet with just vamping? And so I couldn't sleep at all last night. And Mule Skinner blues and things you can sing along with. And she actually got it from the microphone, started doing really good, and people were going crazy out there. And I got done, and somebody goes, "Oh, Molly got up and sang." Well, it was Molly from Molly and the Haymakers.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, I have met her before, but she
I've
did
met
fine.
her several times because
She goes, "I love this band." I'm like, "Great, we're just having fun."
her mom was kind of a author, and Tina played this, or Tina had a literary event in Ashland, and
Yeah, that's another hot spot of music nobody knows
Yeah.
about is the Ashland and in the Port Wing area. There's,
Yep.
And a lot of those bands are the ones that are at that Baystock event.
Yep,
those times.
there's a lot of-
bands you would never hear, like Floydian Slip.
Floridian
and-
Slip. They used to play
great
here.
band.
Very good.
Yeah.
A lot of,
All my bands have played there. Hoot Owls, Double Chucks, not Fractals. Might have been too hip for JC, but
I'm thinking that's reminding me of that time you guys played that 4th of July thing at some. It was the weirdest thing I ever went to. you played this party, and it was like people that were really into corn, like rich corn people had this big party on.
Like corn farmers?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the band.
I was
corn.
gonna ask. For
Yeah, no,
clarification,
like
yeah.
corn farmers, but they threw this giant party, and you played this, and they had the big fireworks show.
Oh
Remember that?
yeah. You know,
And they just it was the craziest, weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like in the middle of nowhere, out somewhere by Ashland, like out on like some cabins. You guys got a cabin, and we all stayed there.
Oh, yeah.
And they just kept bringing bottles of wine. Every time a bottle of wine was done, they'd just bring you another one. And at the end of the night, it's like everyone left, and there was like all these tables with full bottles of wine, and we just
yeah.
grabbed all the wine and went back to our.
Yeah. We had our own cabin.
It was
That's the only thing.
that
Maybe it was the
they
wine.
had
That's the only thing I
fireworks
remember.
show that was like Bayfront's fireworks show. It was like these guys are making some money off of corn, whatever that was. I don't even know what it was. It was
So many of those shows I did, I don't remember anything except for I played this part of Wipeout wrong or something. That's what I remember. God, I really screwed that up. Well, it's a drum song. I still screwed up the guitar part.
well. Cheers, my
Cheers.
friend.
All
It's
right.
been a great time, and I'm glad we're not telemarketing. And keep doing art, and
Yeah.
let's find a
Well,
way to
right now it's World of Cardboard.
world to cardboard.
But like I was saying, lifestyle change is good for people.
It's been fabulous.
Yep, it was fun.
It was lovely
Yay!
meeting you.
Barry Pirkola, one of my oldest,
Yay.
dearest friends, and the reason we have awesome logo, awesome mural. Maybe we could get a photo in front of the mural before you run away.
That's a great idea.
Da-da-da.
It's a really good idea. All right.
All right.
See you next month.
Yay.